Hello everyone, it is Terry coming to you from the Saddleback at Doaks Creek Farm. Excited to visit with you today about gardening here on the farm. Before we get started again, I would just like to remind you to hit that notification bell and subscribe button so you'll be notified as soon as new videos are released. So here you will actually see me tilling up some ground using a new tool that I purchased in the spring. It is called the Earthwise 16-inch 13.5 amp corded electric tiller and cultivator. And I will tell you, you better have some muscle when you're using this. It is lightweight to actually pick up, but once you hit that start button, it will get away from you really quickly. And another challenge is obviously using the cord. You're having to move it around and you don't want to get that caught obviously up in your tines at all. So you want to make sure to keep it inside at all times as well. Here you'll notice that this particular ground that I'm actually breaking up is more sandy. I'm going to break up 3 more areas. You won't see all of that, but you'll see where I did it here in a little bit. Those were a little bit more challenging because they have more clay, and that's one challenge as a gardener that we have here in the South is that we do have a mixture of sandy and clay soil, and so it can make that sometimes challenging for the gardener, but we get around that and just make it work for us because we're used to it. But this little tiller really liked the sandy area, obviously, even with the grass, and you can see there is a grassy area. The grass clippings are low, and so it wasn't like working in a lot of tall grassy area, but it did a good job, and I enjoyed it. But right now I'm moving all of the clods of grass and dirt that were left after using the tiller. I did go over the area several times to make sure that it was a little bit more fine. Now, because I mentioned that we do have sandy and clay soil here, I did end up and do use actually here on the farm this lomate that I purchased from our local co-op, and I really like it a lot. And because here we're going to add nutrients anyway, this gives my plants a good start. And I use this mostly in raised beds, but I put it out actually on the soil as well, on the ground, because I needed this extra boost for my plants because of the type of soil that I was planting in. So you'll just see me here just spreading it out, and I will tell you this was a job after using that tiller. And again, it's a workout for the arms, but this was a workout also, dumping all of this soil in the areas. The nice thing is I do have the dump trailer, so it just gives a little bit of extra help getting the soil out, but you definitely have to climb up in there and get that soil out and move it to where you need it to be. So again, here I'm backing up. Do you like my backup skills with our tractor there? It's a Kubota tractor that I love, but I love this dump trailer as well, and I'll tell you a little bit more about those later. Also, I'll do a review on that Earthwise tiller so you can see it a little bit better up close and all of the capabilities of the tiller, and I'll tell you where I got that from so that you'll have more information on that if you're interested. I would see that would be really helpful if you're doing flower beds. I wouldn't suggest necessarily doing really large areas with it, but hey, it worked for me for these smaller areas. And I will say what I have found, the older that I get, I like working in small spaces better. So that's why I actually broke this up. Now, when I was growing up, we did really large gardens, fields of a garden, acres of gardening. And so with my family now, we purchase, you see, more commodities from the store, so we don't grow a lot of just canning everything right now. So the foods that we're growing, we're actually getting into. It is farm to table. We do eat what we have and we share with our family members, but also we're getting into more of just experimenting with different types of grow methods so that we can actually use this to as a business also. So I'll tell you more about that later as well. Now, what you see me doing here, these are starter plants that I did purchase from the local co-op so that we would just get a better start on the season. So I have corn, I have beans, okra, there's beets as well that I have actually are seeds, for the beets, squash and zucchini. tomatoes and peppers are all going in these areas. And I think I said cantaloupe and watermelon also. But you see me laying all of these out, and then they'll get planted. And you see my little helper there, that's little Toby. And then we also probably saw our other little helper on the farm, our little dog Casper that we love. So again, gardening is fun. It obviously takes a lot of bending and milling and digging with your hands and working with the soil with your hands. And so to me, I find it relaxing. This was a mild weather day, so it wasn't overly hot, but you're still obviously putting a good workout in when you're doing this, and especially getting this all done. But I was determined and kept pushing through. And you'll see this area to your right, the right corner of the screen, that is an area that I planted actually in the fall, and then tilled it up again, and then planted some of the summer vegetables there as well. So, but this is a new area. I was expanding the garden, so that's what you're seeing me doing. Here is that we have these new spaces that I'm very excited about and has produced for us actually, because this was in the spring, and so just wanted to share what we did, and I'll share more with you. And as I mentioned, we do have different grow methods. So we do have where we plant obviously in ground, and then we have some raised beds that we plant in as well. The difference obviously is, for me, that I have found with raised beds, you're going to water more, weed less, but with the in ground, you're going to water less and weed more. So it just is I guess you have to determine which method works best for you. We're going to actually get into experimenting with some hydroponics and aquaponics later, and so I'll be excited to share that journey with each of you also. So just leave it in the comments. I would love to hear from you about how you garden in your zone. And again, I am in Mississippi, and so we have a little bit longer growing period that some of you may have in other parts of the country. So we pretty much can garden all year. So there's always something that we can plant and have for food. And so it is kind of fun from that standpoint. Again, we do fight the summer heat and pests here in the south, so that's not too fun. But we do enjoy the long growing season. So please leave your comments and let me know some of the things that you're doing in your growing zone and some of the challenges that you may have, or even ideas of how you like to garden, and if you have different growing methods, what you actually use. I'd love to hear from you. So again, I'm just kind of laying out the garden here, and a good thing, a lot of people will do is, I did take a piece of paper before I even did this and laid it out what I wanted to plant where, and that's really important because you have some plants such as squash that get really big, and you have watermelon and cantaloupe, for instance, that are they have long vines, especially cucumber also will want to climb. So you want to make sure that when you're laying out your garden that you're not having something that's going to be invasive on another plant space and taking nutrients away from that plant. So we learn as we go, and so it's trial and error, and so there's nothing wrong with that. And just know that if you're just getting started, you don't have to do as much as I'm doing here. You actually can take and plant in pots and start that way. So we've got everything planted now, and we're giving it a good water so it can actually have a good start. And I do use some fertilizer about every 2 weeks as well, so to give this a boost. And so again, just let me know what you do and what works well for you, and I appreciate you joining today. And again, like and share this video if you've enjoyed it, and then also leave your comments, and please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Thank you again for joining, and as we say here in the South, y'all come back now.